Hello and welcome to the show with me, Jillian Godsil. My guest today is David Dobrovitsky. Am I saying that right? Dobrovitsky.
Yes, hello.
Great
Yeah,
name.
it's a pleasure to be with you, and you did.
Thank
Thanks.
you so much. And we're going to look at we're going to take the crypto temperature this week. And David, you have a very unique outlook on life. We love your very, very candid comments. So don't be too mean now. Don't be too rough. But first of all,
Okay.
hacks. They're all over the place. And the Solana one most recently. What's your gut feeling about it? Is it just bad security, or is it clever hackers? Why is this happening?
So the Solana situation wasn't actually a hack. It was the code from a backend leaking out from Slope Finance. And as was stated in terms of the Nomad Bridge situation, there was a mistake within their code. So what you're seeing more and more is human error. You're dealing with technology that deals with a lot of people's money, but at the same time, you're dealing with human nature, which is humans make errors, and so that's really what you're seeing, in my opinion, is error. Sometimes it's an error of judgment. If people want to inflate prices, inflate TVLs and all of that. But ultimately speaking, much of what you're seeing is not from people trying to create terrible situations for others. You're seeing just basic human error happen. So.
Okay. And how do you feel? Because obviously you've done the bridge from Solana to Algorand. Does that make you worried, or does it make you more concerned that your bridge is safe, or how do you feel about that?
I have faith in what we did. We were audited twice on each side. We really did try to study hacks that happened before. I think that we did our utmost to create a safe product. And so, to a large extent, I'm very, very not just proud of what we put out there, but I feel like we did a really good job. And we learned the hard way in crypto that you shouldn't say, a CEO of a bridge that got hacked said, or tweeted recently, a few months before they got hacked, we're secure, period. You don't say stuff like that when you're a CEO of a bridge, because you don't want that quoted later to your face if something happens.
No.
So I'm gonna just say that we underwent a very rigorous situation where we were audited twice on each side. We went through penetration tests, and so I feel like we did a really good job. Cross our fingers and see what happens.
Yeah. Well, I suppose
at the end of the day, we're in the wild west of open finance right now, or you can call it DeFi, you can call it open finance. In the 1920s in the United States, banks got robbed, okay, and they got robbed a lot, and so that time has now passed into legend, but that time existed. It's documented. It happened. I'm not even talking about the Wild West, before and all the robberies that took place. You have a very similar situation going on right now with open finance. Protocols get robbed because you're at an early stage of a social alignment as well as a new tech, and people that just are ravenous for money, they go at it. And some of those people are extremely talented, and so you're going to have these types of situations. I would say, as always, to anyone who works with crypto, don't ever invest funds you need to pay for your apartment, for rent, for mortgage, for business, for food, for your kids' college. Don't use that money to put it into crypto. It's not what you do. With crypto, you need to have funds for crypto. It means that tomorrow you can lose those funds, and you're not going to wake up in the middle of the night cold sweat, because you allocated those funds just for that, and you have funds for everything else set aside. That's the way it should be. And if people trade that way, and if they invest that way, and then you consider the risks of working with a new technology in a completely brand new field, then we're going to be okay. But if people, there was a letter from a person who put in all the money they got from like a federal loan for their business into a centralized lender, and that lender went belly up. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that you hate to hear, because in reality, that money should never go to an experimental company. And any company in crypto is very much experimental at this point. Even Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not a company, but even the Bitcoin tech at this point is still experimental, because many people would justifiably say that Bitcoin is actually not doing what it was supposed to do. Bitcoin was created by the founder of Bitcoin to be instant cash. It's supposed to be small money that you send anywhere in the world with almost zero commission that people can spend right away. That's what Bitcoin is, instant electronic cash. Whereas what Bitcoin is now is this huge commodity. When Bitcoin costs, $15,000 and up, and you can fractionalize it, it's no longer instant cash, it's a commodity. And so even Bitcoin is not doing what it was supposed to do because it's such new tech. And people just kind of took it, and then they started playing with it the way they want to play with it, and it developed in its own way. So,
two things jump out at me from what you were just saying there, really interesting. And it hadn't actually occurred to me. Yeah, banks got robbed back in the day. We have all those films and all those Billy the Kids and all the rest of the whole. We all grew up on them, all those stories, and they don't get robbed now. Obviously, it's a different setup, and obviously this is the new tech, and so that makes sense. So it's part of an evolutionary thing in terms of technology and stuff, and then money. But also, exactly. I was going to ask you, and you did say, and this actually, I think, which I'm going to ask you about CeFi, and I think what you said there also, I feel it quite a lot, because a number of the CeFi projects that failed, especially the main big one, the elephant in the room, people put their life savings there. They weren't like the FOMO crew. They weren't chasing, unicorn NFTs all across different and trading coins in and out. They were putting their life savings there because they believed it. And in some ways, like, I know I was also a customer of CeFi, and I've lost a small amount of money, I'm glad to say, not a huge amount, but it was very comforting. Like, can DeFi be that comforting? Because CeFi was definitely the main example there. It felt good, it felt safe, it felt risk averse, and obviously it was none of those things, but it felt as if it was. So can DeFi provide that level of security for real, or for comfort for real?
Listen, a lot of this has to do with how we're programmed in our society and how we're raised. People are raised to want authority figures, and they want that father or mother figure to say to them, "Oh, don't worry, sweetheart. Everything is okay. I got your money. Nothing bad will happen to you." And so when you get that person, you get that front man, or people substitute a corporate experience for that. Oh, look, they're structured, so it must be safe. Look, they have a nice signature in their email, and stuff like that. And so people buy that kind of gimmicky stuff. They buy the suit, they buy the perfume, and then they get surprised when something really bad happens. The reality is, and this is the incredibly ironic part, is that the CeFi lenders are a lot more dangerous than DeFi, for the simple reason that, first of all, CeFi sell to you. The whole point of CeFi is that a for-profit centralized business. They're going to sell. They're going to try to convince you that they know what they're doing, and they're going to try to convince you that they have infinite amount of resources, so you feel safe. There isn't a DeFi protocol in the world that can afford to do that. DeFi protocols are created mostly by techies. They are very often idealistic. And even though there's a chance of hacking, there is going to be abundant amount of disclaimers on anybody who knows what they're doing on a DeFi protocol, that you can lose your money. This is a new technology. You got to think about this. You should never put your life savings in this. You need to be careful. But this is a really cool new technology. And so what that means is, like, do you want to drive the first Ford model car? Probably. It beats a horse and carriage, So, DeFi can do that. DeFi is that first or second generation car. With the CeFi lenders, a completely different animal, because basically what they are is they're kind of a halfway between a bank, a hedge fund, and just a a Ponzi scheme, really, to some extent. As you find out, many of them are. And so you get these players in the CeFi world that they don't have the access to the Federal Reserve like banks do. So they don't have the access to liquidity. They only to the really deep liquidity. Even if they have access to USDC, USDT, BUSD, while these are the true CeFi organizations in crypto, I would say, because they are the only ones that have the billions of dollars in their liquidity to withstand a bank run. But even when the CeFi lenders that went belly up have access to them, they don't have enough of an access, because the Federal Reserve has a lot more interest in protecting a small bank than a organization that has billions of dollars in stablecoin has interest in protecting a failing CeFi lender, because they're not tied completely to one system. And so there isn't that guarantee, there isn't that safety net that if that little town bank starts to go out of business, that the bigger branch will bail it out. Because in the case of crypto, the bigger player could say, but you're badly run. Why the heck would we bail you out? Like, there's nothing for us to buy. Like, what's the upside here? Because it's a business deal, It's no longer a system, it's a business deal. And so inherently, CeFi lenders are not safe. Unless you're doing, look, there's only three, for the most part, there's only three major stable coins in crypto. There is USDT, USDC, and BUSD. That's it. Those are the players with billions of dollars backed by something, whether it's dollars, whether it's some sort of contracts that can be sold off for dollars right away. And that's pretty much it. There's another player that's kind of younger. It's called USDD from Tron. It's backed fully by Bitcoin, and recently they actually proved that they can save the peg. It depegged a little bit. They spend millions of dollars in Bitcoin, and they put the peg back. And so that organization kind of proved that they are a stablecoin, but very few organizations in crypto can prove that they're actual stablecoins. And unless you have a stablecoin that is tied to your service, that you have those reserves, you really cannot be a lender, not 100%, because there's always a chance you're going to run out of money. And lenders, they want to say, well, we're going to trade and we're going to make enormous amounts for you. Yeah, but those trades are very, very dangerous. And as we found out, many of the hedge funds and lenders actually lose their clients' money in trading because they're human beings. And crypto is very volatile, so they're going to have losses. And who's going to be there to reinstate that money, So in reality, CeFi lenders are a lot more dangerous than DeFi. With DeFi, everything is very clear for the most part. It's very hard not to understand that a protocol is dangerous. And DeFi is never going to sell to you like a CeFi lender. So a lot of the things that we're talking about has to do with setting expectations. The problem is when you set wrong expectations, that's when a lot of people get hurt. When you set wrong expectations to sell, especially in finance, that's when laws get broken, people get hurt, and all that stuff.
You were talking earlier about the only true stablecoins. So with stablecoins, algorithmic stablecoins, obviously MakerDAO is still around and appears to be very solid. But do you think, obviously the Terra mess that sort of precipitated this particular crypto winter, do you think they can work?
So I think MakerDAO is a very solid project. But when I'm talking about stable coins, to me, those are projects that have such enormous liquidity that if 1 billion people ran to withdraw, you'd still have that stable coin around. The biggest problem in finance is always fear. It's never inflation. Inflation can be dealt with. you burn some coins, decrease the supply. But fear, panic, it's almost impossible to deal with because people literally lose their minds. And, when acting in a scared mob, people no longer care that the way they're acting in mass is going to actually make them go down even quicker. And so when you look objectively at, well, who can actually survive a bank run? Like, who can survive $1 billion taken out? The only players that I can personally think of are USDT, USDC, BUSD. And again, props to Tron for for USDT for restoring the peg. I do consider MakerDAO a really solid project, and I think they're the only real DeFi stablecoin because they're collateralized. But I'm talking about bank runs. I'm talking about crazy human emotions that don't make any sense. And in terms of algorithmic stablecoins, I don't actually consider them stablecoins for the most part. I think the algorithm is there to protect you against inflation, which in normal market conditions is a lovely tool, because one way or the other, you're going to somehow burn coins and increase the price, or you're going to collateralize somehow, and that's nice. But it's been proven time and time again that algorithmic stablecoins cannot withstand panic and fear. And so you can have a legitimate bank run that literally ends a coin. So unless a coin is collateralized one-to-one with something valuable that also is not going to lose value easily, I don't think it's a stablecoin. I think it's a lot more appropriate to call algorithmic stablecoins hybrid tokens that are designed to withstand market forces in most market scenarios. But they are not real stablecoins, and they shouldn't be called stablecoins, because when you call them stablecoins, you basically are it's a false advertising. It's false expectations, and then that's when people get hurt. Oh, I can invest in this algorithmic stablecoin. It's perfectly great. No, you can't. The second in mass people are scared, that thing is not going to withstand it. So yeah.
So do you think then, my final question for you today, do you think are we in a crypto winter in the middle of the summer, or is it just a glitch, or do you have any feeling for where we are in terms of confidence in the whole crypto market?
We're in a recession. It's beyond a crypto winter. We've been in a recession since at least February. I don't care what people say that, did we just slip into recession? No, we've been in a recession for 5 months already. So when prices start to go down, when people start to invest, when calamities happen, you get a recession. So markets went out really in February, and then more and more negative things were happening to basically unnerve people. People stopped investing. There's a lot less money flow. There's a lot less liquidity flow. And then more and more calamities happen. So we've been in it's beyond a crypto winter. It's not just crypto. It's also in the tech stocks. The economy is in decline, globally speaking. Inflation is crazily out of control, and this is very much a global recession. And this is not just about crypto.
Well, on that note, I think Billy would have had some really interesting thoughts, especially you're right about the banks being robbed all the time back in the day. People don't think about that. They don't compare that to modern crypto. Fascinating. Thank you very much for your time indeed today, David. Thank you.
All right. Cheers.